It's Sunday, July 28th, 2024. So as you can see, I'm well into it, and I'm just going to continue checking these queens all the way down here, and I'll bring you back if I see anything noteworthy on them. The job after that, of course, as mentioned before, is to deal with these little fours. And I'm kind of sounding wore out because it's very warm and humid, and it's not really that warm. It's 22 or 24 degrees, but it's very humid. We're looking at high 80s, low 90s% relative humidity, and that really zaps a person. The body doesn't cool, and there's really not much breeze here. As you can see, my smoker's going straight up. So I'll just keep working here, and I'll let you know if there's anything else noteworthy to show you in this yard. I'm gonna check some of these James McNally queens. These are the queens I got for the first round from James. Everything, it just takes a little more effort during honey flow. Take this honey super off. That was a warm day. So we have an empty cage, as expected. These boxes, I like to yank frames like that. My queen might be walking around there. She's not, but they are just backfilling that with pollen and nectar. Same with that. That's not looking good. Not looking good for the queen. We got all kinds of queen cells here that are emerged, so I think we know what happened there. They're just filling these with honey. That's a waxed frame that they just drew out to the extent of the wax available. Okay, so it looks like we have maybe a requeen in progress here. Mating success this time of year is excellent. So that's just all honey. I'm really tempted to take all that out in the second box because we've got no brood. I would not be surprised if these queens came up a bit short because I think they had a rough ride coming here. I think they might have overheated or something. There is quite a bit of mortality. Put your finger there. If that queen excluder springs up, which it will, it shoots the bees in the air, and they're not happy about that. They'll come and get you. That's again just honey. No laying there. Got my sunglasses on. It's hard to find brood with sunglasses on. There's eggs here. So I think this one is okay. The pattern is very spotty. See, queen can still be laying and she can still be compromised. Yeah, I don't think this queen is really in very good shape now. The pattern is extremely spotty, like that's as good as it gets in this hive. I'll give her some time. Boy, that's a big, heavy frame there. Sure would like to sort these honey frames up, so at least I get some honey crop off of these hives. Okay, there's brood I can see here. It's a little more consistent pattern, a little tighter. Yeah, this is definitely nicer. You wouldn't believe it. I got to put a second super on this. Okay, I'm going to do some very basic notations on these. I'm not going to differentiate between, this queen looked a little suspect, but she was laying okay. This one was doing just fine. This one, there's nothing going on. They might have a virgin or 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a basic check mark on the ones that are laying, period. I'm not going to do anything else. And then this one I have no check mark, so that then I can see that and I can check back at that later on. This is a swarm I've had on this wagon for a while now. They finally made it inside the fence and they're headed over there. But I thought I'd check them because last time I checked, I couldn't confirm that they had a laying queen. But look what they've been doing. They've been making a box of honey for me. And so I'm gonna check this out. This end frame is not really drawn, so I'll pull that out. So there's one thing swarms do really well is they draw a comb. And they've been doing just that. So they've been filling that with honey. I'll move these toward the inside of the box, because if they don't have a laying queen, this is all they're going to do is make honey, which looks like they're doing in spades. Doing this Bob Walker style with no tripod. Okay, so this looks a little different. So we have pollen in this frame. I'm going to turn that one around, get the less drawn side in the middle, and that's just honey as well. I think they had a virgin queen when I put them in the box. So obviously they stayed in the box, but okay. I'm not thinking they have a virgin queen anymore. That's looking really nice. All right. So I'm just going to sort these around a little. I'll put that one that's not drawn as well. I'll put it in here about maybe position 3 or so. And it looks like this one has made a home for themselves. I think I'll put a super on them actually. Queen excluder and a box up top. So they have somewhere to put this honey flow. These bees started to get a little stingy, so I went and got my smoker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take every frame out of here that doesn't have brood on it and replace it with a nicely drawn frame so that then I can harvest the honey. There's something going on here. We've got a couple of queen cells here, but we've got what appears to be a pretty decent laying pattern. All kinds of cells here too. Okay, I need to find eggs. Maybe the queen laid a while and then terminated. Yeah, I see lots of milk brood and nice stuff too, and then a lack of eggs. Well, there's some eggs here. So now I can make a judgment call. Do I leave this queen to lay? Do I mash those queen cells? Do I take those queen cells for use elsewhere? Make a nuke out of them? See if she'll mate. It's very late August, or it's very late July, so August is right around the corner. So I'm thinking, I don't know. This was earlier on, I'd just let this play out. Or I'd make a nuke. There's the marked queen. She's not a bad size. I think I'm going to tear down the cells and let her do the best she can do for the remaining time she has. So now that I've seen her, I can take these frames out and pull them up, because she's over on this frame. Honestly, swarms often don't winter anyway. She can do the best she can do for the rest of the summer. I mean, of course, I'll try to winter them, but I'm not going to put any extra investment into them. These are pretty mature cells. Anybody want some queen cells? And people say, well, why, those are good queen cells. Well, maybe they're good queen cells. I don't know. You listen to Michael Palmer, and his mantra is a queen made from superior genetics really has nothing on a queen that is bred under ideal conditions. And I don't know what conditions these queens were created under. They might be just fine, but they might not. And I'll be honest, I don't need any more queens right now. So there's, what is there? There's some brood on this. There's a lot of honey on it though too. And there's lots of brood on this one. I'm hoping that they move this honey up. I usually shake these bees off, but okay. Come on, you gotta get out of there. Again, less than clean queen excluder. That'll be fine. And I could have moved brood up in here as well and replaced it with drawn comb in the bottom. But to me, it's getting late enough in the season. I don't want to disturb that bottom brood chamber too much. I'll put my ventilation stick back on here. And we'll leave them be. It's Monday, July 29th, 2024. 2 more days of July left after today, and we're August. And to me, that changes things a lot in my management. I'm running out of options. I need to then really get switched into winterizing gear so that the colonies are set up for winter. Now, yesterday, I finished off this row. These are all 6 frame units, so there's 3 on a skid. And I did a queen check. I don't have the stats in my head there. I marked the covers as far as who's laying and who isn't. It's a pretty good acceptance. It's not 100%, of course. I don't really know what I'm going to do with the failures, but I'm going to get through all this and then we'll decide what to do with the failures. I have a whole ton of brand new fresh Martindale queens here, so maybe we'll just give them a head start and introduce them over here. I haven't decided. Yeah, so I've got I think 5 more skids over at the other pallets at the other end here to go through. Queen check, of course, add supers as necessary. These were all necessary except for 1 pallet. I think this one you can see. Yeah, and that's about it. There's nothing too real exciting going on here. So there was a real collection of queens here. There was James McNally round 1, James McNally round 2. There was some virgin queens that a local beekeeper gave me for evaluation. He's new at doing this. He's following the Stevens method from Corey Stevens. There were some smaller nukes from another beekeeper. He gave me a few smaller nukes here. So I've been queen checking everything, making sure everybody's doing okay. And of course, like I said, there is some failures, and I got, of course, 1 always on me, right? So that's about it. I think that is all to report. I've had a couple of people, though, comment to me. They've said, hey, in your last video, you said you're running out of boxes. I'm not running out of boxes. I'm running out of frames because there's 2 of them on me now. I guess I better put this on because she just stung me in the ear. Ouch. Okay, they mean business. Let's do this. There you go. That's a real time. Getting stung in the ear. And it hurts. You just want to make sure the stinger's not there. Of course, I can't see it, but I don't think it's there. Okay, yeah, so I'm not running out of boxes per se. I'm running out of frames because I still have a lot of frames that I haven't put back together since last year's cull. Plus, there's a ton of feed frames still in my building, and that's using up a lot of frames. So the feed frames are from the dead outs from last winter. So that's what's using up a lot of my frames, and we've been putting together frames. We've actually been taking some of the culled frames, putting foundation in them. So I have a few boxes of that this morning. I have some of those. I have foundation. I have about a box and a half of foundation in inventory right now. I have some medium foundation as well, but I don't have any medium frames built, and I only have enough bottom bars for maybe 50 or 60 frames. So we could build mediums as well. Anything will help, right? Because these colonies are filling up. This honey flow is turning out to actually be pretty good. So they're definitely filling out. I've opened up these colonies, and these first deeps on these colonies were packed right to the top, and they were storing honey down below. So that's really bad, because once they start storing honey down below, then they swarm. There was one had swarm cells, and what I've been doing to all of them, I did radically to that one, but what I've been doing to all of them is I'll pull out any honey frames from the bottom, pull them up, and put in fresh empty drawn comb in the bottom to relieve that pressure and get the queen with the program again. Because once she stops laying, once they backfill that and stops laying, then they start to figure they should go find a different home. So that is what's going on. So these second deeps aren't even empty, because typically this deep would have 10 frames. So I'll move one up in here. So there's one honey frame already in here, and then I'll take some honey frames from in here and put in here. So there may be 4 or 5 honey frames already in this deep. So it's by no means empty. Honey flow is going well. I'm very happy the honey flow is going well, but it's really whipping me. It's really whipping me because of my lack of comb. So let that be a lesson to you. Have lots of drawn comb. Have lots of frames and lots of boxes and lots of drawn comb, because you don't want to be in this situation. All right, I'll take you down there and we'll get to work. Okay, these two are the second batch of James McNally queens, and as anticipated, they're chock right full of honey. I told my wife I was lifting these deeps. She says, "Oh, you're using your hive lifter, right?" And of course I said, yeah, hive lifter, that's right. But I'm not. That hive lifter makes things so much easier on the back, but it does slow you down a bit. And I've got a lot to accomplish here, and it's actually not in the bee yard right now, so I don't think to go and get it. I just start doing my work. So pull the cage out, and I don't recommend going right to the middle, but in the interest of getting this many colonies done in the allotted time, I'll be very careful. Pull the center frame. I see sealed brood on the other side. I see pollen and nectar on this side. I need my Mikeberry flashlight. There's sealed brood here. Lots of milk brood. I'm not seeing eggs specifically, but lots of milk brood and very young, which is very young larvae. Okay, so we'll put that back together. This is a success with my plastic. You know what? I think I've got some spare metals over there. I'd rather use the metal. And plastics work fine. They perform just fine. When you harvest, the metal comes off of the honey super a lot more easily than the plastic ones do. Brand spanking new metal queen excluder. Okay, so there's 9 frames in there, so I don't have to touch that. I have to put a super on here though, but I've got some mediums over there with foundation, so I think I'll put that on there. But I'm gonna wait until I evaluate this one, because I'm using 3 6-frame covers, so the two honey supers need to match. And it looks like this will be just fine because this one's full too. So I didn't mention, I reserved my metal queen excluders for the 6-frame units because of this. These don't lay down like that, and I need the metal one to stay tight down over the junction of the 2 boxes. Junction? Intersection? That's all pollen there, and that's milkbird there. So I'm going to leave this alone. I was talking to my mentor about this situation, and he assured me, he said once you get that space, she just stung me in the leg, above the bird chamber, then they'll move that honey out of the bird nest up into the honey super. So I hope that's what they're going to do. Some of these they've begun drawing, so that's nice. Give them a little bit of a start. I'm still going to run 10 frames though. But I'm going to checkerboard these. Make the best of my drawn comb. Because having some immediate space is really what they need. So they'll have immediate space in the drawn, and then they'll be able to build comb on the foundation. Give this one a check mark for laying, as well as this one, check mark. So here's a demonstration of a principle that you might not guess. These colonies have been queenless until recently. You know, they've only had a queen for maybe a week, and look at all the honey they made. You know, a queenless colony is still going to make honey. They won't make it for a long, long time, but one of the benefits is they've got no brood to feed, right? So they're not using the honey for that. This one's not quite as packed out. It's still got a little space here. Some of these frames that I'd put in. See, I can see sealed brood from here. So what I'm going to look for is some honey frames that I can move up. This is a lot of eggs in it, and you can see that at a glance. At the distance you're at, you can see the intersection between the eggs and the nectar here. But the problem is the nectar is really encroaching on the nest. So she's laid that with eggs as well. This one here looks really fat, so I'm going to take a closer look at that one. Sealed brood opposite, and a good start on that. And that is laid up as well, so she's really going to town here. I'll leave this nest as is. I'll leave the brood chamber as is. And then I need to get that other box off over there. There are a few downsides to these 6s, and managing the center one is one of those. It's a little bit more difficult. Okay, what do we have? Got milk brood there, milk brood there. So we have a nice laying queen here. And it looks to me like the nest is not too congested with honey. So I'll leave it as is. I hope my mentor's right about them moving that honey up once they have some space above. So now that I have the center one done, I can put this side back on. Now I'll reserve putting a medium, because if I need to pull honey frames out of this, then I'm going to need to put a deep on here next. So I don't want a medium and a deep together. I like that those cages are easily reusable. They're only 35 cents, but you know, it's nice to reuse things and not just throw them in the garbage. Okay, the center one is pretty heavy. It's right full of pollen, and that's not a good sign. So let's look a little further. It's right full of honey, as is that. I have to check to the edge though. I did one yesterday. I looked all through here and it didn't look good. And then I got to this frame and I saw some eggs. So she was just kind of late to start and started right on the end. But this one doesn't have one, I'm sure. Just honey. Just honey. Just honey, just honey. And I'm going to fix the problems later. So I'm going to put this together and call it a failure. They'll still collect honey. You know, it's a viable unit that way. So what I'll probably do is, because I have 2 units that are good, and this is a failure, I've got 18 frames here. I add 2 more frames and I'll just convert this to 2 10s. I'll still put a queen excluder because, you know, I put that the wrong way up. I don't know if there is a right way, but when I put these on the Nucs, I put that one the wrong way up. I like to put these support wires on the top so that the control wires can sit down there. This doesn't matter in this case. I'm not concerned about this queen coming over here. There is no queen over here. I'm concerned about this queen coming up and making a mess of my honey supers. This one failed, so it gets an X. Couple more 10s here. This isn't packed full. I'm going to move these frames around. These are empty, but these look like they're full. I'll just leave the lid on that for now. And there's not much, well, there's not as much weight to it. It's quite often bees running around in the cage. As long as it's not a queen. So this, to me, doesn't look very good, but check it out. We'll check it out. Oh yeah, well, I don't know. The caps look uneven, which means we may have had the queen rejected and progressed into laying workers. And these bees will still make honey. They're just not progressing, so they haven't filled that box. I want to see some eggs. Confirm laying workers. This might just be not a great queen. Well, she's right there. She's a yellow one with a big red dot. So I'm gonna leave her to her business for a while. And we'll just, I don't know if she needs more space up top. Frames on this side are pretty light. They are filling those. Those two are completely empty. That one's heavy. All right, they can stay like that for a while. So markings on these lids. Why is that? It's the same story. It's kind of empty here. Oh yeah, lots of milk brood there. Right up to sealed brood here. So that's good. I just don't know why I didn't mark the lids. Okay, so these, they have no honey supers. They were late splits, I guess you could call them. This is a James McNally. Suspect it might be pretty packed out, considering the honey flow we've been having. So hopefully I can get some honey supers on these. And it's always a little bit of a challenge because I don't have any more wooden 6-frame boxes. So, you know, this one needs a honey super and that one doesn't. What do? I gotta put a 10-frame honey super on. That's the magic of these 6-frame triple pallets, and also the headache. You can use your standardized equipment, but you have to use your standardized equipment. Oh, that's heavy. It's a frame of sealed brood though. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to clean the frames out of this one. Get the honey out of it. Got a little bit of drawn comb left. I've been reserving for, see how this is. She's laid this and then they've just backfilled the whole thing. Boom. No more space. Just like that. So, I'd say this one was a successful introduction. We can keep them in the box. Is the next question. Yes, you're right, full of honey. Okay, I need to get some frames. I drew a lot of comb last year, and this is exactly why I bothered to do that. Because I'm running out. I've got a couple boxes left. It's hard to pull them out. That's one of those old frames. It's too long though. I'll just see if I can spot the queen. See, this frame has a bit of space, so that's nice. The queen might be over here. If I can spot the queen, I don't need to shake the bees off those frames. This one's heavy, holy smokes. There's the queen, way over on this packed out honey frame. I'm gonna leave that one in here. Leave this one in. And then, yeah, I don't need to shake those. So I need one more. A little yellow jacket. And so when I go to put the honey super on here, of course it's gonna have to be a deep. Then I can just put these 4, you know, combination brood honey frames up into that. Now the question is, what do we have here? Ow. Hopefully we have a laying queen. Look, you see what they're trying to do here? They're trying to make honey. And beekeeper didn't give them any space. I must need my hive lifter for this, or my hive frame puller. When they get a lot of honey on them, they get difficult to hang on to, and it gets pretty tight. So that's complete sealed brood here. That's beautiful. This side is even nicer. Look at that. Okay, so this is definitely honey super ready. I think I want to take a couple of these out too, though. Wow. Yeah, so she's had a little bit of space to lay here. And she's right there. So, because I've seen the queen, I don't need to shake these frames either, as I work quickly. See, these are very nice brood frames. I don't really need to take them out, but I want to give her more space. Right now, put these in here. Get queen excluder on, and I'll put those support bars up. Squash any bees. Okay, you go down through there. All right, box. Okay. Now these are honey frames. Now this won't work because the box has no space under it. So I need to scrape that off. We can shake those bees off. Make that a little bit easier. Now you see how this honey super is going to be, you know, at least half full already. That's 5, and I've got 2 more here. So we're going to have 7 frames in a 9 frame box right away. Maybe put a couple foundations in there, although I want some drawn comb. Let's see what I've got. Now let's pray this one is also queen right and similar figure, which it looks like it is. These little ones, this one and this one were, you know, intact nukes, laying queens, etc. When I got them, they weren't very big, but they were laying. So we have nice laying queens here. I'm gonna take this one out for sure. It's a comb rotation thing that was just old and nasty. There's the queen here. She's got a very tiny remnant of a mark. That's typical of a Posca pen. They don't last. The mark doesn't last very long. The competitive advantage pens, they last really well. They'll last pretty much the lifetime of the queen. So these are really nice. Look at these. These things are gonna just absolutely explode. I hope they don't hit the trees. The outside one is similar. All right, well, I'll take these two up. So I saw the queen. I don't need to shake the bees off these frames. I want that end of the queen excluder to be nice and tight against the other one, because that makes the seal for that center hive. Always those few gotta be on the end. Yep. All right. I'm gonna put a few frames of foundation in here, along with some drawn comb. Because I have both, I'm gonna put 10 frames. Just need to make my drawn comb go further. Okay, that's good. 3 success stories there. All right, can we do that again? These are also were intact small nukes. They ain't small anymore. Holy smokes, what did I do? Oh, I just got busy and kind of ignored these. Neglected is the term. Neglected is the term. Okay, that's a nice brood frame there. Sealed brood. Nectar dripping off it. These are 3 original frames. They're a bit older, so if I can pull those out, I will. So there's a lot of larger cells. This beekeeper was a queen too. This beekeeper, he's a good beekeeper, and he makes his own wax foundation. So sometimes wax foundation, you're a little more likely to get drones down in the corners. Okay, lady, you go down in there somewhere. And I'll get these other frames out of here. Getting better picking up queens. That was one of my goals, one of my management goals, skills to work on this year, and I'm getting much more comfortable with it. Is picking up queens and marking them too without a catcher. Okay, so I'll put 3 new ones in here for her. Keep her busy. Okay, that's nice. I saw the queen. I don't need to shake those bees off. Now, this one is a little different story. Well, I do see brood. There's milkroot there. Nice, nice newly drawn frame, full of brood. That's so beautiful. So I guess they're getting along. They just it's not quite as far along. As I recall, there's a few of them that were a bit smaller. So with these homemade foundation frames, it's not my thing, you know, it's not wrong. It's just different ways people manage. And imagine he saves a lot of money by making his own foundation. I don't care for it because there's a mixture of large cells and small cells. And so what I'm going to do is I'll pull these out. And that was a 2-framer. That was one of the weaker ones. And I'll they'll end up in honey super, so therefore end up in a honey house. I'll pull them out in the honey house, and if I can identify them, I'll take them back to the guy. You know, he gave me the queens or the nukes, and usually when somebody does that, I'll usually return drawn frames to them, except they were different. You know, I don't have any foundationless, or at least wax foundation frames, so that was a little different. So I didn't take anything back to him. So I'd like to take his frames back next spring perhaps, or this winter. I didn't see the queen. So I don't know where she is. I don't want to hurt her. Get these in here nice and gently. Tightened up. All right. Some of these old frames, they just don't play nice. They're not the right sizes and dimensions. So again, I'm going to need to watch these because I haven't put that much new space in them. Actually, I didn't put any new space at all in that because I've moved up frames and there's no space there, and I've put foundation, so there's no space there. So until they draw that foundation, and what I did do was I put space in bird chamber. So I see some frames here I really want to move up. The only time I won't move up a frame is if it has syrup on it. I don't want syrup in my honey super. Which this is, I recognize this is a frame from the original nuke, so it's okay to move up. And there's obviously a nicely laying queen here. I don't like wax or plastic frames in general, so I will move this one up if I can. Just taking a quick look for the queen. If I see the queen, it just makes things that much easier. He uses a Posca pen, so his queen markings come off pretty easily. And then these two I'd like to get rid of as well. Let's pull quite a few out of here. They are definitely hurting for space. Boy, these are laying really nicely. Wow. They are just going to town. Okay. So that's the only one, last one I'm going to pull out. So I have to shake these, but I want to get my replacement frames handy first. I need 4. Look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. So nice. Quick look, see if I can see the queen. If I do, that'll save me a lot of shaking. Wow, I am tempted to take that, but the chance that there's syrup in it is pretty good. Well, I hope the queen wasn't on that one. That was kind of a stupid move. I'll take this one out again. Then I gotta shake these. Got a little bit of honey on my fingers. Okay, the queen's got lots of space. She shouldn't be complaining about anything in that regard. She can complain about a clumsy beekeeper though. Definitely gotta lift the lid on these. Let's let those drones out. Okay, that little job is done. It was actually a rather big job. So all of these 6s that I've got set up here have all got enough overhead space now. And that really does my heart good. But I'm still going to have to watch them. Some of them aren't as luxuriously roomy as they could be. And some of these boxes are getting, so they're not in very good shape either. But that's a different story. Now, I said I was going to check these little 4s, but I have to check the big production colonies here for supers. And I need to go to the outyards too to check for space. I'm hoping for good production, but I'm hoping I don't have to add space because I don't have any more frames. We're producing frames as I speak, though. My wife is cleaning up those culled frames and putting some foundation in them. But there's really not that many there. So, you know, you say, well, there's 100. That's only 10 boxes, right? There's maybe 175 colonies here. So, you know, that's 1,700 frames for one round of honey supers. That's a lot, but every box will make a difference. So if I need to harvest some honey and spin it out and get supers back on, then that'll be the next plan of attack. If I don't have enough foundation frames that I can scrape together. There's some of these mediums still here. There's a little bit of comb, and that's just the reality of it. So I'll show you my task now. I can't really see the screen very well, so you should be seeing the big production colonies. So they're pretty well off, but they're filling up. It's Wednesday, July 31, 2024. It's another warm and humid day here. I just come out to my out yard to see if they need any honey supers out here. I've run out of drawn comb. I'm putting foundation on, which is a bad idea. It's all I can do. Well, the only other thing I can do is pull a bunch of honey and spin it out, but that would take me a while, so I've opted to put the last of the foundation that I have on. The fanning noise out here is incredible. It really, really is incredible to hear. And I'm going to turn this camera around and show you a little bit. I had to hide here in the shade because the sun is so incredibly bright. I couldn't see a thing. So I'm going to show you some of these entrances and what's going on here. The bees are bearding. They're hanging out on the front of the box. They're fanning. I think they're trying to get the air moving past the front of the box to cool it down a little bit. So let's take a look at that. So look at these hives. Lots of activity, lots of coming and going. And lots of bees hanging out too. You may recall I put some shims under these lids, and they are taking advantage of the upper entrances, some more than others. This one seems to be pretty strong, and they're fanning like crazy at that upper entrance, getting the air moving through the hive and drying the honey. And you can really smell that here in the apiary too. You can smell the nectar being dried down. You can really see the bees coming and going here across the fence. Okay, I'm going to put my veil on and I'm going to crack some lids and see what's happening. Well, this yard took a few boxes, and I know I didn't show you, so I'll try to explain. I gave them half a box of foundation each, because not only am I out of drawn comb, I'm almost out of foundation frames. So say you need to do this in pairs, so say these two needed a box. I'd bring a new box with 5 frames of foundation and set it atop this hive, for example. And then I would take the lid off this one and take 5 frames of honey or whatever they've got in there. It's going to be honey if I'm adding boxes. And I'd take 5 frames out of there and checkerboard it with the foundation that I just put on top of this one. And then the 5 frames that are left in here, then I'll checkerboard with the other 5 frames that I took out of the new box. So I hope that kind of makes sense. There's 4 boxes on some of these now. There's 2 boxes on others. You know, there's some that don't have anything hardly going on. I'm wondering if they swarmed or something. And there's that one down at the end that never did catch on. It's way down here, way down at the end. It had a hard time requeening. I gave them a queen, it didn't work out. On and on and on it went. And last time I checked it, I came out here to shake it out. And I was questioning it, wondering what in the world's going on here. So I thought, okay, I'll leave them for next inspection. I looked in there, there's sheets of cap brood in there. So she's doing just fine. All I had to give them was foundation, so I gave them a whole box of foundation. I didn't have a queen excluder, so that is officially a double right now. And so it might end up being a double that I winter as a double. That might be a good destiny for that one, because they're certainly not going to make me any honey. All right, need to go home and get into some more shenanigans there. That was hot. As the sun is just burning, and the humidity is very high. I'm very thankful we have a tiny breeze. Anytime that tiny breeze comes by, it's just cools me a little bit, but I'm still wringing wet. All right, I'm gonna do up the fence and get home. I'm back at the home yard now. I'm just doing my best to not let the heat get the best of me. I'm going to start on these little 4-framer guys that I got from Kerry, and I think I'm going to start with the ones that are on top of the wooden boxes, because I think it's not a foregone conclusion that every one of these is going to be fantastic. I've been warned a few times that there may be, maybe 3 or 5 or something that just didn't really catch on, which is normal. So I want to make sure I fill up my wooden equipment first, and then I can start filling up the polys. I'm sure I have more than 9 good ones, but we'll do it in this order anyway. So there's no rocket science to this. It's just straight transfers, and do a little bit of evaluation at the same time. I've got a bunch of frames down here in this stack that I'll be adding, since they're in 4s now and they're going to 6s. So without further ado, let's get at it. Okay, let's start in the end one here. See what's in this box. Oh, there's bees in this box. Imagine that. Okay, I'm very anxious to see what Carrie made for me. I might have to add more than 1 frame, because when I took the nuke boxes over there to be filled with zombies, I put a frame of foundation in the box, and that is said frame of foundation. So I'm thinking I probably don't want that frame to end up in the 6. So I'll just replace that. And these are not meant to be real big, so we're kind of hoping that they fell out. Okay, so she did warn me. She said some of them sat a while and went to laying workers. However, I don't know that that's what this is. I have to turn to the sun and look in these cells, because we've got some drone cells here, but we've also got some worker, sealed worker brood there. There's just piles of milk brood in here. I think this one recovered, but I might have to look at the next frame to confirm. I'm going to get my marking pen, because I know Carrie doesn't mark the queens. So if I see these queens, and I should, they're small units, I'm going to try to mark these. Of course, there was a bunch of laying workers. They might have killed the queen. There's not really a lot going on there. I'm not seeing multiple eggs like I would expect with laying workers. Okay, I've got my Mike Berry flashlight, so we're going to have a good look down in these cells. There's milk brood here. There's no crazy, 100 eggs in a cell kind of pattern, but I also haven't seen a queen. I'm gonna pass on this one for now, because my impression is that I should be seeing a better, more cohesive colony as the average out here. So we'll take a look at a few more. Well, this one's kind of sparse too. Some of them are really going gangbusters. There's some over there. Traffic is incredible. They were in the long grass when we packed them up. So there's some grass stuck in the lids. That's really heavy. That's the feed frame I put in earlier on. There's normal looking eggs there. See, here's a big one. Let's do this one. It needs more space. So we'll do it. This is the problem I want to have. Try and get these frames out. And really pack this out. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing that this looks like a really booming colony, and there's space here to lay it. There's no eggs. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, this one looks good. She's actually a little too strong for this box, but I think she'll probably be okay. That's a nice pattern. I'd say she's laying just fine. And I see her. Well, that went a lot better than the last one. So that's about what's going on. I'm going to leave you with that. And I'm going to maybe do a little bit more and then pack it in. I'm pretty tired. It's not that I've done too much work today. Just the heat makes me very, very, very tired. Thanks for watching. Take care and have fun. It's Thursday, August the 1, 2024. Now it's another hot and humid one. It's just after noon, and I did a few of these 4-frame to 6-frame transfers yesterday before I quit, but there are a lot more to do. However, I'm going to shift gears right now, because what I've got here, you may recall, these are 6-frame units. So there's 3 6-frame units here that I had introduced queens to, and coincidentally 2 of these 6-frame units succeeded, 1 of them failed, and the same thing to the adjacent pallet here. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to take these 2 successful 6-frame units, I'm going to set them into 10-frame units here. Then I can recover the 6-frame equipment and move over here to use with the 4-frame transfers. Best laid plans of mice and men, right? But that's what I'm planning to do. And I'm working slow. My brain's not even working very well, as you can tell. I'm kind of mixing my words and whatnot. So I'm just going to get at this and see how this goes. It's going to be lifting some of those deep supers again. Yeah, where's the hive lifter? I don't know. It's back at the house somewhere. So we'll just tie into this. Okay, it's the one on this end that failed. So for the one on this end, you know, obviously I'll move the middle one to here and the end one to there. And the one on this end, I'm going to shake the bees out over here and I'll put the bird frames in the new box behind it. I'll take those boxes off. This one's exactly the same. These two worked and one on the end didn't. That's kind of coincidental. 6-frame nukes are going to make me at least a deep of honey each. You can see the bees from the center box, which moved back here, how they're going this way into that box. These bees will go in there, but they'll have to mind their manners. These bees are actually going back into this box in the like manner. So how do you get 2 more frames there? That's 2 pallets taken care of. There's a number of failures here yet. This next pallet is 3 failures, so that can pretty much go all together, and then there's a couple more pallets with 1 or 2 failures. So I'm gonna take a break here and hit it again in a few minutes. It's Friday, August the 2nd, 2024. So I'm out here again today in the heat, although it's not quite as hot today. And I don't think it's quite as humid. We have a very, very slight breeze going on. It's the slightest breeze you've ever seen. You've never seen a breeze as slight as this breeze. This breeze is just tremendous. It's just perfect. And I have a few of these, what I'm calling conversions. I'm converting these 6 framers to 10 framers because this one here, as I was doing yesterday, there's a good one and a good one and a failure. So take apart the failure, convert this to 2-way pallet, 10 frame boxes, that sort of thing. You get the idea. So I have to do that one. And then there's another pallet of 6 frame nukes over here where there's 3 failures. So really I just have to disband that, set the honey boxes on other colonies, shake the colony out to join other hives, that sort of thing. So that was going to be, easier. And I want to complete these because I want to use this 6 frame equipment because I've got my polys out here, but I'd rather use as few polys as I can get away with. They don't store as nicely, they don't fit with everything else, they don't stack nicely with everything else, they just don't handle as well. So the bees do good in them, but they're sure in rough shape, as you know. So yeah, I want to free up the 6 frame equipment so I can use them with those and cut down number of polys that I've got. So the push is these 4 framers. There's 4 framers are getting a bit wild. Actually, I've got a couple of pro nukes here too, so they're 5 frames, and they're getting a bit wild because we still got a honey flow going here. And one of the difficulties with my 4 frame boxes is they are a little bit roomy. So if the frames aren't right in the center, they can really start building errant comb along the wall, which they often do. So that is it for what's going on here. Now, I had the presence of mind to bring my hive lifter because I'm almost done. So I thought, we'll bring the hive lifter for the end of the process. The first thing we got to do is we've got to take this apart. We've got to take the honey supers off it and then transfer the boxes. So I'm going to do that. I'll move these boxes back and I'll pull the honey supers and I'll set them right on these boxes. One of the things you have to do is this thing actually uses a bit of real estate. You get congested pretty easily with it, and you have to have not much stuff sitting around. I've got a pallet of stuff sitting here, so it might be in my way. But let me show you kind of how this hive lifter does literally the heavy lifting for you. Wow, they haven't touched these top boxes at all. There's drawn comb in here too, so that's a waste of drawn comb that I don't have. Okay, so these are not going to be a challenge. They're not heavy, plus they're mediums. So I'll just crack it at the bottom. That's a metal queen excluder, so it's going to let go of that box nicely. The plastic ones don't let go of the box nearly as nicely. And I'll just lower that down on there. When I go to pick up the box, I'm lifting the wheels off the ground. So you could see how that handle gripper grabber thing just locked in there. I can lift that a little bit. I can tip it back onto the wheels. We'll just wheel around here. And now again, I can set it down mostly like that. I just have to tip it forward a little bit. It balances quite nicely, right? And then just set that right down on the box. And then, as they say, Bob's your uncle. I'll go around and do the other side. You have to keep your workspace fairly organized, because with the wheel stance and the distance you need from the hive, these 6-7 feet apart, and I wouldn't want them less distance apart. So I can lock that in, and I can see that because these aren't full or anything, it's lifting right off. But what I can do is I can give it a little bit of tension and then go and crack the queen excluder, and the box will come right off it. But I didn't even have to do that this time. There's not much in these boxes. So that's the process with the hive lifter. I don't know if it's a misnomer to call it a hive lifter, because generally I don't lift hives with it. I lift honey supers. I often call it my Backsaver 6100. Okay, so this one is the failure, and these two are going to go into 10 frame boxes. I was working one of these yesterday, and it turned out that the failure actually was a laying queen. So I don't want to get 2 colonies into this and realize this one is laying. I'll have to undo it. See, that's plugged right out with pollen and nectar, so that's quite certainly not a laying colony. Yeah, it's just honey. So these will all go in honey super. Last one, because I was checking one of these and I got to the last one before I saw any laying happening. Okay, get into this one. This one, I think this one's got a little bit of chalk brood. I'll requeen it with Carrie's queen if I choose not to keep her. Yeah, I think I should requeen this one. You know, pattern is pretty good, but there's still a number of cells of chalk brood. It's too bad. She's actually laying quite well, but then she's young. I'm gonna give her a chance. I'm gonna give her a chance. She's a nice big one. A nice big yellow one there. We'll let her rock and roll. Let's see if she can do better. So she's laying hard. She's definitely laying hard. Just filling that right up. Now they've filled this failure with honey, so I'm going to harvest that honey. You know, they haven't been treated or anything. There's nothing crazy going on. They just, because they didn't have a laying queen, that's all they knew how to do. So that honey's mine. and I've shaken them out. You can put a limited number of bees, unrelated bees, in there, you know, like that frame. It's got some bees on it. I can put them in there. It's not a big deal. It's in the second deep above the queen excluder. But shaking them out just kind of gives you that extra margin of safety. You're just trying to protect the queen against foreign bees. And rinse and repeat. These are James McNally queens, and they seem to be laying really well. Some of the frames look a little spotty, but that's because they're left over from when I made the nuke out of the zombies a couple of weeks ago or so. It was more than that, but you know, it was a month ago. Yeah, she's got it laid right up. Very good job. A heavy feed frame. Okay, these three are failures, so I think I'm going to use the proximity of this one to transfer. I'll just move these honey supers. I don't know if there's anything in them. We'll check that, and or what's left of these brood chambers just over onto these hives. The mixing of bees won't matter. There's plenty of space in these honey supers. Well, in this one anyway. This one's getting there. Yeah, there's some nectar in there. All right. And in like fashion, I should do a final health check, status check on these. Because, you know, it might be laying now, we don't know. Don't want to transfer a queen. When I discovered these were not laying, I took the queen excluders out, so if there is a laying queen, or if there's more than one, we're probably going to have one, right? A little bit of tension, it just lifts that pallet a little bit, and then when I crack the box, it comes apart. Lifting and maneuvering one box with this machine is super easy. 2 is pretty good. 3 starts to get a little bit of a challenge. 4 is quite challenging, but you can do it. But I wouldn't suggest trying to do 4 on uneven ground at all. Okay, let's take a last evaluation. Pretty easy to tell when all of the cells are chock full of nectar. You don't have to look very closely to see if you can see eggs or anything. I mean, this is sealed honey. So, I mean, the requeen didn't work, but they made me a box of honey. More than that, they made me that deep of honey and a 6 frame box. So that's respectable. All right, this one's confirmed failed. I don't know if you can hear them. The sound, you can just tell they're queenless. It's got that extra little roar. These are heavy, heavy, heavy frames. I just want to make sure I check them thoroughly before I seal their fate. Now for the honey supers, I'm just going to put that on here. And now that I've got my hive lifter with me, this honey super has space. It's not that heavy. That one's pretty full. So because I have my hive lifter, this is easy. I'm going to put this one on here, and then I'll lift up 2 of them and put it back on there, just so that the full one isn't on top, and then I can check for the status of the non-full one more easily. Because there's not much weight there at all. I mean, there's some, but I mean, it's a hive lifter, so it's kind of deceiving. So tip it back to clear the handles. And I'll go down into the handles on that one. Easy peasy. Easy peasy, Jay-Z beezy. Yeah, so those lights kind of got messed up a little. And again, it's light enough. I could easily move that by hand. I want to check the, yeah, 9 frame spacing is good there. These shifted a little. I'm just going to lift this one by hand. It's empty, so just put it on here. I think that's all the conversions I have to do. And now I just have to transfer 4 frame units into 6. And that'll be, I think, the end of my work like that for the season. Once I'm freed up from the apiary, then I need to set up the honey house, because I'll be pulling honey in a couple of weeks, maybe 3, maybe setting escapes in 2 weeks, and pulling honey the week after. I sure hope the flow lasts. Last summer I had a light flow the whole time I was harvesting, and it made it so enjoyable. The bees weren't robbing, the bees weren't a pain. I just took all their honey away and they didn't even know it. Sounds pretty bad when you put it that way. I'm gonna go for a break and cool down, and thank you for watching. Take care and have fun.